Hi, hello. So, good morning. Happy morning to all. So, I welcome all of you for this interesting zoology session. So, we are discussing the digestion and absorption. So, yesterday we discussed the dentition. So, different the terms that related to the teeth discussed. So, today the continuation. That plague. So, what is a plague? It is the deposition, it is nothing but the deposition of the mineral salts like so calcium and magnesium. Okay, calcium so and magnesium that deposited as hard layers. As the hard layers where in between the gaps of the teeth, in between the teeth and behind, okay, that back side of the teeth, so that minerals like calcium and magnesium are deposited. Okay, that hard layer, it is a torter or the calculus, that is called the plaque. So listen here that yellowish, that layer, that yellowish layer. So, which is deposited, formed in between the gaps of the teeth, also that behind that back side of the teeth, that layer is formed. It is that hard layer. It is a torter or calculus. It is called the plaque. Important 2 marks question, and this is a 2 marks question, and maybe in 1 mark. So, what are the that minerals which are deposited? It's 1 mark. Calcium and magnesium salt for easy technique. What is the memory technique? Calcium Ca, magnesium Ma. You can join and form a acronym. Comma simply. You can form a acronym. So, that is comma, CAMA, comma, a word, comma, because you know that minerals, calcium, magnesium or sulfur, sulfate, something will be confused. Okay, so that you can form a acronym for easy recalling. Okay, it's memory technique for your memory is comma, simple. What is that comma? Formed a layer, that yellowish layer, usually it is found between the teeth. So, most of the individuals you can see, if not cleared, that is brushing properly. So, that is deposited, it is quite normal. Okay, that is all, plaque. And the next is gingivitis. Itis always inflammation. So, gingivitis means suppose if the that plaque, it is that formation of the plaque is, it is a normal, it is a usual, it is not a disease. Okay, you do not get any inferiority. It is a normal, that formation of the plaque. If you brush regularly, so that will be removed. So, okay, suppose if the plaque which is not removed, how to remove? That is, if not removed and it spread, it is that layer, it increases and that filled between the gaps, okay, between the gaps of the gum, that muscular portion that covers the teeth, that is so which spread, which goes into the gaps of the gums, okay. Gums and also enamel, that causes inflammation. Okay, so that it causes inflammation here, that redness, swelling. Okay, sometimes even there is bleeding is there. Okay, blood ooze out. There is a bleeding, that is called gingivitis. Okay, it is if the plague intensified, it grows further and further. Okay, that forms the gingivitis. That what are the symptoms? Redness, bleeding gums, okay, redness, bleeding gums, and also the bad smell, so bad breath, okay, bad smell. So these were the symptoms the gingivitis. It is formed because of the plaque, right? Then how to understand what we are, that is we are discussing the each and every organ or the part of the digestive system. And now we are in the buccal cavity. So buccal cavity, what are the various structures which are seen, we are discussing the teeth, and the next organ is the tongue. You know the tongue, which is the it is long muscular organ. It is the posterior side, it is freely movable, and posterior, the time that posterior end is attached in the base of the buccal cavity, and the anterior end is free. And the anterior end is free, and the posterior end is attached, posterior back side. So attached, that is the base of the buccal cavity, listen, and the anterior side, just behind the tip, that ventral side, that lower side, that the tongue is attached with the base of the buccal cavity by a strip of muscle that is called frenulum. Very, very important. Frenulum. Listen. Frenulum. Listen. Anterior end is free. Okay. Just behind the anterior, that tip, that lower side is attached the base of that buccal cavity by a strip of muscle. Okay, that is called frenulum. One mark, point of view important. Frenulum. Okay, the attached that base. This is that frenulum, and this is most frequently. Next is it is most frequently asked 2 marks question. It's a tongue which is called the universal toothbrush. Universal toothbrush. Okay. Why it is called the universal toothbrush? That cleans. Okay, that cleans the teeth. Since it contains that papillae, it not that is it's muscular organ that meant for used for the mixing the food. That is mixing the food with the saliva. Also speaking. Apart from that, not only mixing and speaking, it is also the organ of the taste. Okay, that is taste. That surface that contains a papilla, that is mushroom shaped structures, that is called papilla, singular papillae, that are the taste buds. With the help of that, it's we recognize the different taste. This is very common. Listen, this is most frequently asked 2 marks. That is which is called universal toothbrush. The tongue, which is called universal toothbrush. Okay. Functions, this is common. Right? That upper surface possesses that papillae, that is mushroom shaped structures, that sensory structures that meant for the taste. Right. Here this slide, that frenulum, and that is 1 mark point of view, which is called universal toothbrush. That is 2 marks at 3 mark point of view. That is very important. Right. That's all. Mouth next to buccal cavity. What are all the structures which are seen in the buccal cavity discussed. Then next to the buccal cavity is the pharynx. Thondai. Thondai. Pharynx. The pharynx. This is a common passage. For food and the air. It is food and the air. That is the common passage for food and the air. That is the pharynx region. Buccal cavity also opens here. That nose, that nasal passage also open here. That is the common for the food and air. Okay, this place, exactly this place. Okay, this place, the pharynx region. In the region. Thondai அப்படினு சொல்லுவோம். Right? So here only, see here, here this is the esophagus. See here this diagram, the esophagus. Here it's esophagus, and this is the windpipe, trachea. This is the windpipe. This is the windpipe. This is the windpipe, and this is the esophagus, food pipe. Both open here. This is that common. that a spacious region that is called pharynx. This is the pharynx. So from the pharynx, that esophagus opens here. Esophagus, it's open. Here it's a gullet is there. A gullet, that is a wide opening through a wide opening from the esophagus, that is from the pharynx, that esophagus opening through a wide that is a region, that is a wide opening, that is called a gullet. That is from the pharynx, that esophagus opens with a wide opening, that is called gullet. This is also important, gullet. And here this is the that windpipe trachea, and through the gullet that esophagus opens from this pharynx, and here a flap. See here, there is a flap is there. See here, a pink color. A flap is there, that is called epiglottis. That flap, this is called epiglottis. This is windpipe. This is windpipe. See here, this is windpipe, and the epiglottis, it is a muscular flap, so that covers the windpipe when we eat food and drink water. So that prevents into the wind passage, that trachea. Right? It's a epiglottis and epiglottis. So in the pharynx region also, that tonsils are there, tonsils. Okay, the tonsil is nothing but it is a lymph node. The largest lymph node that found in the is tonsils. It is a two mass lymphoidal tissue, lymph node, two mass. Okay, suppose that is a chronic infection and the lymph node, that is a tonsil growth ஆயிடும். அதான் tonsillitis அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம். That is called tonsillitis. Okay, what is the pharynx? Right, you know, it is common for food and air. From the pharynx, the windpipe and esophagus emerges. Okay, and that esophagus followed by a spacious that cavity, that is called a wide opening, that is called a gullet. Okay, that's all. After pharynx is the esophagus, that is passage of the digestive system you are discussing. That esophagus, see, listen, this is esophagus. Esophagus is a narrow, a tube, that this is buccal cavity and this is pharynx. The esophagus which connects, this is the esophagus. That esophagus connects the pharynx and the stomach. Pharynx and the stomach. It is simply, it is a narrow, a tube, a short tube that conducts the, joins the pharynx and the stomach. So this is the stomach. See, listen, here when it is joins with the stomach, so here, see, listen, this is the that esophagus and this is the stomach. Okay, so here when it is joins, communicates with this stomach, here there is a sphincter is there. A sphincter is there. So here there is a sphincter. There is a sphincter that is called cardiac sphincter. That is very important. Cardiac sphincter. Not simply it opens. Not simply, listen, this is stomach. So this is stomach. And here when it is joined, okay, where it is joins with stomach, here, so in this place there is a sphincter. There is a sphincter. Sphincter means a muscle. It is capable of contraction, relaxation. சுருக்கு தசை. அது wall மாதிரி act பண்ணும். When food comes through this esophagus, it opens. It opens and allows the food. If no, that is it tightly closes. It tightly closes. Okay, that sphincter. A sphincter is here. That is cardiac sphincter. That is very important. Cardiac sphincter. Cardiac sphincter. That sphincter. Cardiac sphincter is there. Right? See, listen. Sometimes If the cardiac sphincter not contract, not works properly, okay, please listen carefully. This is the stomach, esophagus. In the junction, there is a sphincter which regulates the that passage of the substances. Suppose the sphincter not works properly, loose ஆயிடும். அப்ப என்ன ஆகும்? See, this is the stomach. So the acid and enzymes, so which back to the which goes back to the esophagus. Okay, it goes back, it flow back to the esophagus. அப்ப என்ன ஆகும்? அப்ப அந்த esophageal region அங்க என்ன ஆகும்? The acid and the enzymes எல்லாம் that damages the esophagus, அதான் that is called heartburn ன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. அது ஒரு heartburn, நெஞ்செரிச்சல் இருக்கும். That is heartburn. That is called GERD, GERD. That means gastroesophagus reflux disorder. Gastroesophagus reflux disorder. இது ஒரு காமனான ஒரு disorder, that GERD, GERD, gastroesophagus reflux disorder. Okay, when it takes place, when it occurs, it is a disorder. Okay, suppose this here, this is esophagus and stomach. Here there is a sphincter is there. If the sphincter not works properly, okay, திரும்ப என்ன ஆகும்? இந்த substance gastric juice with hydrochloric acid and enzymes come back to the, that is flow back into the esophagus, that tube that causes heartburn. The disorder is called GERD, GERD. This is frequently asked 2 marks question, very important. Next part is stomach. See, listen, the stomach, it is the J-shaped structure. See, this is the stomach. After the esophagus is the stomach. It is the J-shaped, a sac-like structure, and where the food are stored temporarily. That is where the food is stored temporarily. It's a food stored temporarily. It is the function. And where it is located, see, this is location very important. Upper left portion of the abdominal cavity. This is thoracic cavity, upper and abdominal cavity. In the abdominal cavity, upper side, upper left side. Okay, so which is located upper left side, which is located, and it consists of 3 parts, namely cardiac region, fundus and pyloric region. Right? Cardiac, which is the cardiac where the esophagus joins with, the stomach. So this region is the cardiac region. And the lower, from where the small intestine arises, that is the pyloric region. Okay, that last pyloric region. And where the esophagus joins, that is the cardiac region. And rest of the portion is the fundus. That is the fundus. Okay, this is the rest of the portion is fundus. There are 3 regions: cardiac, fundus, and the pyloric. It is divided into that stomach 3 regions. Okay, 3 regions. And here where the small intestine arises, here also the sphincter is there. Here also there is a sphincter, so that regulates the food that passes into the duodenum. That is a small intestine. So that is pyloric sphincter. That pyloric sphincter, that also the same function. That also the same function performs. Not audible? வாய்ஸ் என்னம்மா பிரேக் ஆகுதா அல்லது ஃபீபிளா இருக்குதா? வாட் யூ ஃபீல்? வாட் இஸ் யுவர் ப்ராப்ளம்? கம் ஆன் டெல் மீ. டைமிங்கா? டைமிங் வால்யூம் லோவா இருக்கா? ஓகே. மற்றபடி வேர்ட்ஸ் கான்செப்ட் ரீச் ஆகுதுல்ல, வேர்ட்ஸ் டைமிங்லாம் கரெக்டாக இருக்கு. டைமிங் வெரி வால்யூம் லோ வால்யூம். யூ இன்க்ரீஸ் தி வால்யூம் இன் யுவர் செட்டப். யூ இன்க்ரீஸ். அப்படி வச்சு வரலையா? The stomach, which is the J-shaped structure, followed by the esophagus. It is located upper abdominal region, that is the left side to the upper abdominal region. The function is that stores the food temporarily, the temporary storage of the food, also the digestion. It consists of 3 parts. The cardiac portion, that cardiac region, it is the region where the esophagus joins, it is the cardiac. And it is the pyloric region, from where the lower part, from where the small intestine arises, is the pyloric region. And the rest of the region is the fundus region. Fundus or fundic, both are same. Okay, that cardiac, pyloric and the fundic region. So already we have discussed. So where the esophagus joins with the stomach, there is a sphincter is there, that is a cardiac sphincter. Similarly here, from the pyloric region, that small intestine arises, that area, that place, in that junction also there is a sphincter. Sphincter means surukkuthasai. It's a valve that controls that passage of the substances. That is a sphincter, surukkuthasai. Okay, that regulate the flow of the substance. Here it is our sphincter is there, that is called the pyloric sphincter. That regulates the food, that is partly digested food from the stomach that goes to the small intestine. So that prevents the return of the food, that is called regurgitation. That is called regurgitation. Regurgitate, that means once the food so entered into the small intestine, that it should not come back to the stomach. Okay, so the coming back is called regurgitation. Once again thirumba varradhu. So this prevents the regurgitation. That what is that? That sphincter muscle. Okay, and see the walls of the stomach. If you go see the inside, so that walls of the stomach which has many fold. So which has many fold. So very important, that are called gastric rugae. That is 1 mark point of view or 2 marks, very important. See here, which is folded inside, which are folded, that are called gastric. Why? What is the function? Why it is folded? There is no food, so it is folded. Or folding umbrella mari. என்ன ஆயிடும்? 3 நாளா fold ஆயிடும். Then open பண்ணா பெருசா வரும். So when the no food, it shrinks. It is folded inside. Folded, that is gastric rugae. If you eat more food, so that which unfold, அது unfold மடிஞ்சிருக்குது, என்ன ஆயிடும்? அப்படியே unfold and accommodate more food. So that when no food, that stomach is small. When we eat food, it enlarges, because that folded gastric rugae accommodate more food. Very, very important. Gastric rugae. See, this is that gastric rugae. That inner, not outside. That inner, that layers of that stomach walls, inner layers. That folded. Okay, that's all. Then next is after the stomach is the small intestine. After the stomach is a small intestine. See here, this is here it is stomach. Okay, this is stomach. So after stomach is the small intestine. From here, this is after, that is the pyloric region. From here to up to this, where it joins with the large intestine. That yellowish is the large intestine. That this region, that small intestine. Why it is called a small intestine? It is a small, narrow. It is a narrow. It's a narrow, but it is so length. 6 to 7 meters, 6 to 7 meters long, but it is narrow. That small intestine, next is the small intestine. Here, the small intestine is very, very important, where digestion and absorption of food takes place. Both the digestion of the food and absorption. Simply, if you take the stomach, where only the digestion, that too not complete digestion, a part of the digestion takes place in the stomach region. But here, that it rest of the digestion, that 100% digestion completes in the small intestine. Also, the digested food which are absorbed, and the small intestine, which is divided into three regions. And the initial first U-shaped region, here it is differentiated by color, that gray color. Okay, from here to after stomach to up to here. That is a U-shaped region, or sometimes in some books it is a C-shaped region. Okay, the C-shaped or the U-shaped region, it is a duodenum, that gray color, that initial portion. Right? This is the duodenum of 25 centimeter, 1 mark, the length of the duodenum, 25 centimeter. And next region, that pink color, from here to up to here. Okay, that pinkish, that is that middle portion, it is a long coiled, that description, a long coiled middle portion called jejunum, that long, and nature, it's long and coiled. Jejunum, 2.4 meter length. 1 mark point of view important. 1 mark, that is 1 mark point of view important. 2.4 meter long. That middle jejunum, and so this, okay, that final, this area, okay, that hinder portion, that last, it is that posterior most region, it is a highly coiled, long and highly coiled, longest and highly coiled. See, listen, 3.5 meter long, ileum. Okay, ileum. See that small intestine. So it is an important region in the digestive system, where the digestion and absorption takes place. So which were divided into three regions. That a U-shaped duodenum of 25 centimeter, and middle portion, that pinkish. Okay, that is jejunum, long coiled of the 2.4 meter long, and this that slightly that brownish area, that is highly coiled, longest and highly coiled, it is ileum, that is 3.5 meter long. Right, a small intestine, and the duodenal region, the duodenum. So divided three regions, and one by one we are discussing in detail. Duodenum, that the initial portion, that U-shaped duodenum, where most frequently asked in competitive exams also. It has a gland that are called Brunner's gland. Brunner's gland, which are located in the U-shaped duodenum. Duodenum is the initial portion of the small intestine. Okay, it secretes mucus and enzymes. That Brunner's gland produces mucus and enzymes only, which is found in the duodenal region, that Brunner's gland. Okay, then next is the ileum. Next ileum, that is the hindermost part, it is the longest part, okay, that opens into the, that ileum opens into the, that last, it is a large intestine, that opens into the large intestine. That ileum region, that hindermost region. See, that inner walls of that inner wall of the ileum, so that possess many finger-like projections, that are called villi. Okay, villus singular, villi plural. See, listen here. That is inner wall. It possesses many finger-like projections called villi. See, this is that magnified view. The finger-like projections. This is okay. Many finger-like projections are there that are called villi, and the villi, the tip of the villi, that possess that what is that hairy outgrowths, that projections, numerous microscopic projections. The tip of its finger-like projection, see that villi and the tip, so that possess microscopic structures. Okay, so like the cilia, okay, like the cilia, that is called microvilli. So that villi, the setup that increase the surface area. Villi generally, so increase the surface area of the intestine. Okay, in order to absorb the food, that area, it should be greater. If the area is greater, the absorption, rate of absorption is also greater. So in order to increase the absorption area of the small intestine, so which are folded and forms the villi. So at the tip of the villi, so that possess that microscopic structures that are called microvilli. Don't get confused, villi and microvilli. Okay, the 2 marks or the 1 mark point of view important. Villi and microvilli. And see, next is so the villi are there. So these are the villi, that is along with villi, in between also some of the cells are there that are called goblet cells. So goblet cells and lymphoidal cells are also there. Okay. So in the intestine, apart from the villi, also the goblet cells and lymphoidal cells are also there. Okay. Lymphoidal cells and goblet cells are there. So that lymphoidal cells are known as Peyer's patches. And the lymphoidal cell, lymphatic, so that is responsible for immunity, that produces the lymphocyte. Any foodborne pathogen enters, so that kill. Okay, that kill that foodborne pathogen. சாப்பாடு வழியா நம்ம ஏதாவது மைக்ரோப்ஸ் போச்சுன்னா அதை ரெசிஸ்ட் பண்றதுக்கு அட்டாக் பண்றதுக்கு Peyer's patches இருக்கும். Also goblet cells இருக்கும். Goblet cells that produces mucus. Okay, that walls also possess goblet cells and the lymphoidal tissue. Goblet cell produces mucus and that protection, that form the layer, mucus, salipadalam, or layer form ஆகும். Then lymphoidal tissue, that lymphoidal tissue are called Peyer's patches. Okay, that lymphoidal tissue is called Peyer's patches that produces lymphoidal cells, that is a lymphocyte. Okay, and also the small intestine in between also possess certain structures that is called crypt of Leiberkuhn. Crypts of Leiberkuhn. Where it is located? See, this is the villi, that villi, in between the villi. So this area, see here. So this is villi, in between the villi. Okay, that crypts are there. Crypts are nothing but it is a group of the secretory cells. So that secrete the intestinal juice. Okay, intestinal juice that is secreted by the crypts of Leiberkuhn, where it is located in between the villi. In between the villi, see here, in between these areas that the crypts are there. It's crypts of Leiberkuhn. It is nothing but the secretory cells. Okay, so that secrete the intestinal juice. Okay, so intestinal juice. So far we have discussed the small intestine. So in the digestive system, then next class we will discuss the last portion, that is the large intestine. Okay, thank you.